Alright guys, so welcome to my first tier list video. My name is Jason. I've been seeing a lot of tier list videos pop up in my recommended, and I kind of wanted to make my own kind of tier list video. I would like to put my input on best to worst Marvel movie. This is all my opinion, by the way. You know, you might have a different kind of tier list than I do, but you know, on my personal opinion, this is where I feel like all the movies should go and how they're ranked. So I'm going to start off with the first one, you know, the guy who started it all off, Iron Man. Just because of the story alone and the impact it had on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm going to give it an A tier just because it's Iron Man. I'm not going to give it an S tier because there are movies in here that are better than Iron Man, but Iron Man gets that A rank just because it started the whole MCU kind of franchise. Iron Man 2 is a Iron Man 2, I have mixed feelings about Iron Man 2. I'm not going to place him anywhere yet, but Iron Man 2 has a great, you know, I love Iron Man. He's one of my favorite heroes. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a little biased on Iron Man because I love him. I'm not a big fan of Iron Man 2 though, just because, you know, Iron Man 2, the plot is everywhere. You know, there's some stories that don't even get finished in the movie. But yeah, Iron Man 2 for me, I'm gonna have to place this guy in C tier just because he is Iron Man and he's a great hero. I wouldn't mind watching this movie again, but you know, it wouldn't be my first movie to rewatch, so that's where that goes. I'm gonna do Iron Man 3 now, so we're gonna finish off the Iron Man franchise, or the Iron Man movies, with Iron Man 3. And Iron Man 3 has always had a nice little deep spot in my heart. Iron Man 3 is a great movie just because you can kind of see that previous movies affect the current character. It shows you that, you know, these characters actually have feelings, have emotions, and are scared, and you know, they're not always like these tough heroes. You could just kind of see that Iron Man 3 puts that human aspect into the movies, which is why I'm going to give it another A. It's up there with Iron Man, so Iron Man 3 did a good job for me. I know a lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people are going to hate me for this one because, you know, they don't like the Mandarin. But honestly, I didn't have a problem with the villain. I never read the comics, by the way, guys. I'm just looking at these movies as movies. I'm not looking at them as a comic fanatic. I'm looking at them as, you know, a person who enjoys Marvel movies, not Marvel comics. Guardians of the Galaxy. So Guardians of the Galaxy, I have a soft spot for this movie because they open up with great music. Both of them open up with amazing music scenes. Like, I can't express to you how many times I've listened to Redbone or, you know, Mr. Blue Sky by now. I've honestly lost count of the many times I've played it. It's just an MCU movie that wants to have fun. It doesn't really take it too seriously itself. They know they're like nobodies. They know that they're kind of just brought together by luck. They weren't really forming a team. They just kind of got there together, and they just have fun with the story, and which is why I'm gonna give them a B tier. Alright, so Guardians of the Galaxy 2, we're going to follow up with the sequel. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 tried to do what the first one did. You know, it still has a great soundtrack, but the story is just a little less compelling. I love the death scene in this movie. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, by the way, guys. But the death scene in here didn't affect me as much as other death scenes in other movies did. The story was fine. I love the jokes in it. But, you know, it's not a movie that I would rewatch. I would rewatch the first one before I had to rewatch the second one, basically. And I'm going to have to give this one a D tier. Unfortunately, this one did not stick up to the hype. All these are great movies, guys. I'm just putting them in my kind of list that I would rate them as. So we're going to go on to Ant-Man. Now, Ant-Man, I had a great time watching this in theaters because I love Paul Rudd as an actor. And when I heard he was going to join the MCU, I was kind of hyped. I feel like the Ant-Man movies are just so much more down to earth and more humorous than the rest of the movies, so I'm gonna have to give this guy a B tier with the Guardians. So now we're gonna do Ant-Man 2. I just thought, you know, I'm too deep into the Marvel movies right now. I can't just not watch it. I just watched Infinity War. I had to go watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. So yeah, Ant-Man goes in the C tier. Just has that sequel kind of feel where the sequel they never live up to the hype. You know, the first one was just too good to beat. But it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I loved learning about the quantum realm, even though I don't understand any of it, and I'm pretty sure none of the directors really knew what they were saying.
Did you guys just put the word quantum in front of everything?
Black Panther. Now, Black Panther, it was a great film with a great villain and a great hero. This movie took place in a place that's not even real. I love like the Lion King kind of references in the movie, which is why I'm gonna put it in the B tier because I don't think it's up there with the Iron Mans just yet, but it's definitely got a B tier kind of vibe to it. So this is the first Captain America. The MCU is a great kind of storytelling device because it just kind of shows that everybody in this list is basically just human that just kind of fell into that was just in the right place at the right time because they believed what was right. And that's where Captain America falls in. You know, he wasn't supposed to be in the army, but he got in anyway because he was putting his time in, and that's what really mattered. It wasn't the fact that he was the weakest person. He just kind of put in his hours and he got where he had to be. So I'm gonna give Captain America First Avenger an A tier. Now we're gonna go to Captain America Winter Soldier, and if you don't know about Captain America Winter Soldier, I would recommend watching this movie 1,000 times because of how good the storytelling is. It makes Iron Man 3 look like a joke because of how serious the tone is. This is the side of the MCU that I love to see. That there is already things in motion that have been there since the beginning of the movies. Like, you can see that this wasn't just a regular scaled invasion on S.H.I.E.L.D. This has been happening for years. This kind of movie shows that there's a lot of, character in these even the background characters had their own kind of sense of what's right and what's wrong, because someone was literally told in this movie, do this order the way I tell you to, and if you listen to Captain America, I'm gonna shoot you in the head. The guy's like, no, I'm gonna listen to Captain America. And that's when you get to see the sense that these heroes actually have a meaning on people's lives, and why it gets the S tier rank. This is our first S tier, and it deserves to be there because the Winter Soldier was so amazing. Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel was a great movie for what it was. Things have been in place since before Tony Stark was even considering being Iron Man. The story was for anybody who wanted to see more of Nick Fury, more to see what life was like before Tony Stark. I'm gonna have to give Captain Marvel though a C tier. I don't like Captain Marvel for the same reason I don't like Superman, and that's because she's just way too overpowered. She just can beat up anyone using a repulsor blast. She can just do whatever she wants, Superman is just way overpowered. Captain Marvel is just way overpowered. I love what they did with her in Endgame though, but I'm gonna have to give her movie a C tier just because I wasn't a huge fan of Captain Marvel. Then again, you guys might hate me for that one, but it's just my honest opinion. Doctor Strange was a interesting movie. I loved the way they brought a new character that just had these mystical powers. You don't ever see real magic in the MCU besides in Doctor Strange. It's just a great breakaway from all the serious mechanical things, because I like knowing that magic stuff is just magic. It happens because he says it happens. Doctor Strange was a great character to add into the MCU. Doctor Strange was just a great character to add to the MCU, and that's why I'm gonna give Doctor Strange the B tier. So here we go on to. So now we get Hulk. I mean, the Hulk was during Phase 1, which is kind of unfair. It puts it at a disadvantage for most of the Phase 2 and 3 kind of movies. But Iron Man 1 was Phase 1, and that kind of put it on the map. And that's because comparing it to Iron Man 1, Hulk has got to get a F tier. And I'm sorry, Hulk fans. I know I love Hulk. I love him in everything else besides his own movie. Okay, Captain America Civil War puts the last Captain America to shame. This movie is basically Avengers 2.5. The first time I saw this movie, I was literally in tears because of how good it was. And this is why Captain America Civil War gets an S tier. Alright, so now we have Spider-Man Homecoming, and I love this movie because it came out on my birthday, which is kind of cool. And I love the new Peter Parker, the new Spider-Man kind of character. He's awesome. He just plays the part really well. He just feels really relatable to teenage me right now, so I'm gonna have to give Spider-Man Homecoming a nice little A tier just because it was so well done. Thor 1. Now, Thor 1 was a great way to introduce Thor, the god of thunder.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
It expects you to know the mythology of Thor and its comic book version of Thor. It's not really the mythology version of Thor, which is really just adds to the more confusion. And I'm gonna have to give Thor a D rank just because I didn't understand Thor as much of a character as I did Iron Man, because they do a good job at storytelling. Just with Thor was a loose cannon. Now here's Thor 2, and Thor 2 is going right to the E rank. I don't want to explain why. I don't think I have to explain why Thor 2 gets the E rank, really. So it gets an E rank. I'm sorry, Dark World fans. I know you hate me, but there it goes. Now, Thor Ragnarok. This is a movie that was 10 times funnier than the last two films. Thor Ragnarok Thor Ragnarok. I can't pronounce that for my life. It was just a fun movie to watch because it was just a different pace from the other Thors, and it was funny, and he didn't talk like he was in Shakespeare anymore, so that was really cool. He was like a Shakespearean teenager, if that makes sense. He was like I'm a god, but I also want a beer right now. Like it was just a cool twist on the Thor character. It was a great direction in what they went in because the other MCU movies did not match the other two movies at all, and this is where Thor gets an A rank. So the first Avengers movie, this one, Avengers is such a good movie that even the DC hasn't been able to copy it because they just don't know how to put all these stories together. Guys, I love how they had this idea since the first Iron Man with Nick Fury, and you can tell that there was a lot of planning going into it, and it was just a great movie that broke records. I'm gonna give Avengers an A rank just because of how good it was. So Age of Ultron is a great Avengers movie. It's a great movie. It's definitely better than Hulk and Thor. So they did a great job on Age of Ultron, but they focused on too many people at once. I feel like they really thought they could just do what they did in the first one, which is just have an awesome action scene with Avengers, and it was cool to see. It just wasn't as good. Has that sequel feel to it, where it's not as good as the first one, but you give it credit because it is what the first one wanted to do. But I did enjoy it when I did, so I'm gonna have to give Age of Ultron a C tier. So Avengers Infinity War. Oh my god, was there so much hype for this movie? I cannot explain to you how much hype there was for Infinity War. And Endgame got the hype too, but I've never seen a group of fans just storm for one movie. This movie changed the way I would ever watch a Marvel movie, and that says a lot because there was just a lot of movies that came after this that just didn't have that Marvel kind of feel because Infinity War was. There were so many movies that there was like a couple movies after it that didn't get that Marvel feel because Marvel set this entire new bar for themselves. So Infinity War set a limit that was so high. It was so hard for the other Marvel movies that were coming in between it and Endgame to compete. So Infinity War definitely gets an S tier. And now we're ending off with Endgame. This movie was the first movie to make me cry, laugh, and just feel like I've lost something, but I've also gained a new kind of hope. I mean, Endgame kind of feels like this. So all the movies are a chapter in a book that Marvel wrote, and Endgame is the last chapter of that book, and that's how it kind of feels because it ends it so nicely, and you've had connections with all the characters at this point, and you have your favorite ones, you have your least favorite ones, but they all kind of work together and just to bring this amazing kind of story. So I'm gonna give Endgame another S tier just because of how well it was made and how put together and how thought out, and how it just kind of closed the chapter for all the movies. I know a lot of people have a deep passion for these movies, and they mean a lot to me because I've grown up with them ever since Iron Man 1, and I just love to see how you guys would rate. And if you guys want to rate your own comic, and if you guys want to rate your own movies, let me know in the comment sections on how you would rate your movie, or at least top 5. So yeah, I guess that's it really for the tier video. I don't know, I've never really made a tier video before, or tier list video. Hope this went well. If you guys disagree with me at all in any of these movies, let me know in the comment section below. Most of these I feel like belong where they have to belong. And yeah, like that's really it. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like what you see here, subscribe for more content. I'll be posting more daily. Not daily. I can't do that. I'll be posting more content soon. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.